Yesterday, the S&P 500 had its best election day performance ever, going up 2.5%. This was led by small caps, bank stocks, and health insurers, as well as Bitcoin. Bitcoin did very well after Trump's victory in the election, as seen by a friendlier regulatory environment, as well as the possibility of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. This could increase the possibility of Bitcoin hitting $100,000 by year end, especially with all the inflows we're seeing from the Bitcoin ETFs. The one risk, though, with this Trump trade is that it might add more inflation, especially if tariffs are implemented to other countries. That is inflationary, and that's an inflationary impulse, and that makes the Federal Reserve's job a little harder. So in Jerome Powell's speech, we had a Federal Reserve press conference just now, and in his speech, he acknowledged that economic growth is very strong and that the labor market is cooling, but very, very slowly. And he thinks that the Federal Reserve is in a good place. However, when asked about the future path of interest rate cuts and what the Fed's going to do in the December meeting, he kind of walked the original summary of economic projections of rate cuts back. And he said that there's still a lot more data to see before December, including more inflation and employment reports and retail sales reports, in order to make that conclusion. So it seems that with this pro-growth agenda, that could create higher inflation. And although the Federal Reserve is on a rate cutting regime to a lower neutral interest rate, and the destination is still the same, but the speed to get to that destination might change with a Trump victory, given those inflationary impulses. So obviously, I think the Federal Reserve doesn't want to box itself in a corner. I don't think Jerome Powell wants to commit to anything yet. He wants to see more data, and I think that's the right move. Is you have to, especially at this point in the game, you have to go meeting by meeting, especially because we know the destination is probably going to be similar regardless. It's just the speed to get there that depends on the economic data we get, and we need months of economic data in order to make the best decision. We can't overreact to 1 month's or data or one specific economic report. Jerome Powell was also asked by in the press conferences if he would quit under President-elect Trump, and he said no. So that's some good news. But overall, I would take this Federal Reserve press conference as bullish in the sense that he thinks that the Federal Reserve's in a good policy position place, that the risks of employment and inflation are balanced. And if anything, economic growth is surprising to the upside. So perhaps slowing the pace of interest rate cuts might be warranted. Look, you don't want to go too slow, but you also don't want to go too fast when it comes to interest rate cuts. And I think that Jerome Powell is really taking that into account right now. And look, one issue right now with the market is I think we're in the early to mid phases of a market melt up. I made a bull case of 62.50 by the end of this year. That could even be surpassed. And if that happens, as I said in my video yesterday, I think when Trump gets inaugurated in January, that might be actually a sell the news event if the market keeps on going up at this rate. Obviously, we have to see. But either way, I was pretty encouraged by Jerome Powell's press conference today.